join Cassie Carlson.
Yeah, guys, well, you talk about Hunter Goodman, his All-American status, leading the AAC with 14 home runs. Darren Schoenrock calls him one of the best hitters he has ever seen in his 37 years of coaching. Now, he's probably going to be a day one guy in the MLB draft, but a lot of the scouts criticize that he goes up to the plate and he swings at everything. Schoenrock says he's definitely improved on that this season after striking out like 5 times against Wichita State. He's been very selective with his pitches since then.
Thanks a lot, Cassie. Well, Cassie Carlson.
Well, you mentioned Dylan Burns and his veteran presence on this pitching staff as a 6-year senior. He was just moved into this pitching rotation late in March, and since then he is 3-1 with a 3.55 ERA. He was also voted by the entire South Florida Athletic Department as the most improved athlete within all teams.
Carlson.
You guys were talking about Billy Mole and his young team that he has and how he's excited for the future. I was talking to Coach Schoenrock about just being a young team in general, and he said with the 2020 draft and how it was only 5 rounds, there's about 1,500 players in college baseball right now that would actually be in the big leagues, but they're instead in college baseball, and they are much older. And that gap between when you're 22 years old to 23 years old, your body changes a lot, so it's a really hard year to have a young team. These two teams making the most out of it, though.
That's a great point. I mean, rosters are all different now because of everything that's come into play.
Yeah, guys, Carson Stinnett getting his 6th strikeout of the game. That ties a season high for him. Looking really strong in this game so far. Memphis as a whole, we talked about the young team. Darren Schoenrock also talked about how this season isn't going quite as planned, but what he's really been happy with is how they have continued to improve and approach the game. They are getting better and better. He felt like their bats really came alive against UCF, and he's hoping that continues winding down towards the AAC tournament. And one thing he said is that at this point, they're playing for seeding and they're playing not to play Tulane or ECU. That is what they're focusing on. But also, everyone knows that if you get hot at the right time, things could change in the season.
Thanks a lot, Ken.
Yeah, you're right. And one thing that South Florida has done every year is they have done a lot of fundraising for cancer research, and it's called Versus Cancer, and it's a really special thing for Billy Mole, who lost his wife in 2013 to cancer. So last weekend, the entire team shaved their heads and raised tens of thousands of dollars for cancer research. So if you identify players by maybe what their hair looks like, there's nothing to see this week because they have all freshly shaven heads from the fundraiser last weekend.
Great story. Thanks a lot. Cassie is on Cassie Carlson.
Well, these double headers can be killer for the away teams, and Schoenrock, it really does give the home team a total advantage because they are in these dugouts together for sometimes 9 or more hours, and it just plays a toll on them. If you're the home team, you can go into your locker room and you can change your socks, you can get some water. The away team is just kind of stuck hanging in there. So Schoenrock not a fan of going 2 double headers today and tomorrow, but I think Billy Mole would be okay with it.
Thanks a lot, Cassie. That would be a lot.
Welcome back to FedEx Park for some AAC baseball. We have Memphis leading South Florida 3-1 in the 7th inning. We saw Bailey Wimberly come in for relief for the Tigers. He was out for about 3 weeks, just saw his first innings last week at UCF. He was dealing with a back injury, and that has been a reoccurring issue for a lot of these Memphis pitchers. Darren Schoenrock says he thinks the fact that there are no midweek matchups this season has something to do with it because guys are getting a little bit too aggressive in the weight room, knowing they have so much time between each series. But now Wimberly back, and he got out of that inning.
Thanks a lot, Cassie. I've told you, Greg, you got to keep the core engaged.
Hunter, you guys are searching for your first AAC series win. What does a win in Game 1 do for the confidence of this team, and what would that mean for this team moving forward?
I think it would be huge to get a series win here at home. This first game was good. We had a lot of good pitching today. Pitchers pounded the zone, didn't give up many walks. I think if we can do that, our offense can get us a few runs, and we can get on the board with a first series win.
Let's go down to Cassie.
Yeah, guys, well, Carson Stinnett is not your typical series opener pitcher for the Memphis Tigers, but Coach Darren Schoenrock making the change as a mental thing for him. He knows this player very well and says if he had to wait 9 innings to pitch in the second game of the doubleheader, he would get into his head. So he's thrown out there in Game 1. One thing about him, he was the best pitcher coming out of fall for the Memphis Tigers, and so that was simply because he was throwing the most strikes and striking out the most batters. This spring, he's dealt with a little bit of an arm injury, so he was coming in out of the bullpen, and they were really trying to get his pitch count up from the bullpen. Now he's making his 5th start, and Schoenrock says if he can command his secondary pitches and throw those for strikes, he can chew up a lot of innings for the Tigers.
Thanks a lot, Cassie.